There are moments when the world seems to collapse. Fame fades, love breaks, faith crumbles. Yet in those moments, Stoic philosophy whispers, "Don't try to control the storm. Learn to stand within it." The Stoic does not flee from pain. He walks through it with clear eyes and a calm heart. He knows that true strength lies not in changing the world, but in keeping his soul steady within it. And when a person learns not to be ruled by emotion or fear, they become free amid chaos and at peace amid the storm. This is the Stoic journey, not to chase happiness, but to become it. There are moments in life when a person is swept into the whirlwind of chaos, when everything seems to fall apart, when one begins to lose faith in their own strength. Yet in the midst of those storms, Stoic philosophy whispers a timeless message. Hold your mind steady, for the mind is the only thing the world can never take from you. When wealth is lost, when honor collapses, when relationships shatter, or when life turns cruel, the Stoic stand still at the eye of the storm. Not because they are cold or unfeeling, but because they understand that emotion is a wave, while the mind is the shore. The wave may crash, but the shore remains firm. Human strength lies not in controlling the outer world, but in preserving peace within the inner one. It is there, in the stillness of the mind, that true power is born. Seneca once said, "No one can make you suffer unless you allow them to." This was not a denial of feeling, but an affirmation that each person has the power to choose their response to pain. The Stoic does not avoid hurt. They observe it as one watches a restless sea, knowing that every wave eventually breaks, and one must simply remain standing. In today's world, flooded with information, pressure, and fear, the lesson of mental steadfastness is more vital than ever. For true strength does not belong to those who never fall, but to those who rise again, brush off the dust, and keep walking with a calm heart. Steadfastness does not mean immobility. The Stoic moves through life like a traveler crossing the desert, knowing when to pause, when to continue, and above all, knowing where they are headed. They understand that no one can control the wind, but anyone can adjust the sail. And thus, even when the winds shift, their ship still moves toward the horizon. In the quiet of their mind, they find freedom, the kind of freedom that does not come from power or possessions, but from the ability to live by reason, true to one's nature. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, is the living symbol of that steadfast spirit. Chains could not bind his soul. He taught, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." In that teaching, he handed humanity a key, the key to inner freedom. When a person learns to see the world through reason rather than emotion, they cease to be a victim of circumstance. They become the navigator of their own life. And that, perhaps, is the greatest strength Stoicism has given to humankind. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor amid turmoil, once sat alone at night, writing his reflections to the sound of clashing swords and the winds of war. He wrote, "The mind can remain at peace in the midst of battle, if it does not turn itself into a battlefield." Thus, his meditations were not merely private notes, but a beacon for generations to come. He proved that even a man at the height of power needs a refuge, and that refuge is not found in palaces, but within the fortress of his own mind. For the Stoic, whether emperor or slave, there exists only one kingdom worth ruling, the kingdom of the steadfast mind, untouched by any storm. There is a paradox that Stoic philosophy often reminds us of. A person becomes truly strong only when they accept their own weakness. In a world that glorifies success and status, Stoicism teaches that inner strength does not come from denying fear, but from facing it without trembling. The Stoic does not try to master emotions by suppressing them. They observe them with reason, understanding that emotions are part of nature itself, like rain, like wind, like storms. They come and go, and all we can do is learn to stand firm amid them. For when we understand ourselves deeply, we no longer fear what happens outside, because the most terrifying storm is not in the world. It is the chaos within our own mind. The Stoic sees each day as an exercise. They wake not to chase pleasure, but to practice steadfastness. They ask, if I were to lose everything today, could I remain calm? If I were betrayed, could I forgive? If today were my last day, could I smile as I leave? These are not questions of fear, but of preparation, to forge a soul unshaken by any storm. Seneca wrote, "Practice poverty, so that when it comes, you will not fear it." This is not asceticism, but readiness. The readiness to be free from attachment, so that happiness is never imprisoned by circumstance. Marcus Aurelius, looking out over the chaos of war, realized that humans cannot choose their circumstances, but they can choose their attitude. When the empire trembled, he did not complain or curse fate. Instead, he reminded himself, if I cannot change the world, I can change how I see it. That mindset made him one of history's few philosopher kings. In his private writings, he did not dwell on power, but on tranquility, the kind that only those who understand life's impermanence can hold. He reminded us that every day, the mind stands at a crossroads. One path is reaction through impulse, the other is response through reason. The one who chooses the second is truly free. Epictetus, though bound by chains, held an inner sky of boundless freedom. He taught from a small room, speaking of liberty to those who had never been enslaved, and they realized they were captives themselves, prisoners of anger, desire, and fear. To him, freedom did not lie in action, but in perception. When a person understands that the only thing they truly possess is their own mind, they stop trying to control the uncontrollable. And in that realization, suffering dissolves into harmony with the world. Stoic philosophy does not teach people to become saints. It teaches them to become fully human, to feel pain and disappointment, but not be defined by them. Its power lies not in lofty words, but in simple acts, remaining calm under insult, patient under trial, grateful under love. True steadfastness is not about standing still in the storm. It is about walking forward while the storm still rages. The Stoic does not wait for the world to calm before they smile. They smile, and the world begins to calm. The timelessness of Stoic philosophy lies in this simple truth. It is not merely a system of thought, but a way of living. It demands no faith in the mystical. It teaches the art of seeing life clearly. The Stoic does not chase happiness in some distant future. They train themselves to find peace in the present. They know that every moment is an opportunity to practice. When someone offends you, it is a chance to practice patience. When someone deceives you, a chance to practice forgiveness. When someone helps you, a chance to practice gratitude. And when life throws pain your way, it is a lesson in resilience. Stoicism does not promise you will never fall. It teaches you how to rise again without losing faith in yourself. Seneca once advised, "When life treats you harshly, be grateful. It is training you." His words challenge the modern fear of suffering. In an age where people dread pain above all else, his reminder stands as a quiet test of courage. Can we find meaning in adversity? The Stoic believes that no suffering is wasted. Every hardship carries a lesson, for those clear-eyed enough to learn it. And when we begin to look at life as humble students, rather than resentful victims, peace begins to appear, even in what once seemed unjust. In his final years, Marcus Aurelius watched the Roman Empire crumble under ambition and division. Yet rather than despair, he wrote in his journal, "Everything that happens is ordained by nature. My task is not to complain, but to act rightly." That belief made him a symbol of composure, a ruler not blinded by power, nor paralyzed by tragedy. He lived as an observer amid chaos, keeping his spirit calm even as swords clashed and empires shook. He knew that the essence of a person is not found in what they possess, but in how they meet the world. Epictetus told his students, "When misfortune comes, do not ask, 'Why me?' Ask, 'What can I learn from this?'" This is the core of resilience. The weak see suffering as punishment. The Stoic sees it as opportunity. In the hardest moments, true character is revealed. Just as iron proves its strength in fire, the human soul discovers calm only when it faces pain. And once you've walked through the fire, you no longer fear it. The strength of Stoicism does not lie in lofty theory, but in its ability to keep people steady amid the harshest realities. It does not turn us into the unfeeling. It teaches us to feel deeply without being drowned. It teaches acceptance without surrender, love without attachment, and living without fear. When the world trembles, the Stoic does not ask, "What will happen?" but rather, "How will I respond?" And in that question lies their freedom. For freedom is not doing whatever you wish. It is refusing to let anything rob you of your peace. Stoic philosophy has always emphasized one simple truth. Everything in life is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Not pain, not joy, not even triumph. When a person truly understands this, they no longer panic at loss, nor become intoxicated by success. They begin to see life through the eyes of someone who has accepted the nature of change. To them, time is not an enemy, but a teacher of letting go. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "All things pass, only how we live through them remains." That thought captures the essence of steadfastness, for one who understands impermanence can no longer be swept away by life's tides. They live within the current without being consumed by it, mastering themselves amid endless change. The Stoic greets every morning as a new beginning. They wake not to dwell on yesterday's troubles, but to practice today's virtues. They remind themselves, "Today I may be insulted, misunderstood, or betrayed, but I will not let these things steal the peace within my soul." And each time they remain calm in the face of cruelty or injustice, they win a great victory, not over others, but over themselves. They know that the true enemies are not outside, but within: anger, arrogance, and fear. Only by conquering these inner foes can one ever be truly free. Seneca advised, "Do not concern yourself with things beyond your control." He understood that most human suffering does not come from events themselves, but from how we magnify them in our minds. When someone loses money, they suffer not because of the loss, but because they believe their worth depended on it. When insulted, they suffer not from words, but because they allow those words to become their truth. Stoicism severs that chain. It teaches detachment from illusion, the illusion of ego, and reminds us that no one can hurt us unless we consent. The moment we withdraw that consent, we become untouchable. Epictetus told his students, "When you desire something, remember that you control only your actions, not the outcome." This is the essence of serenity. In our modern world, obsessed with achievement and recognition, His reminder is a medicine for the soul. It teaches that effort is enough, that results do not define our worth. When we act rightly, even failure brings peace. When we act wrongly, even success brings unrest. The Stoic lives to act with integrity, not to be admired. And in that quiet strength lies a resilience unmatched by any reward. Steadfastness of mind is not innate. It is forged through practice. Every time we remain calm in adversity, we grow stronger. Every time we choose silence over anger, we gain more freedom. And every time we accept reality instead of resisting it, we step closer to peace. Stoicism is the path of those who learn to master themselves, not through power, not through fame, but through clarity. For in the end, the strongest person is not the one who controls the world, but the one who controls their mind within it. In every human journey, there comes a time of darkness, when everything seems to turn against us, when our efforts go unnoticed, and when the people we trust walk away. Stoic philosophy does not promise to erase these moments. It teaches us how to endure them without breaking. The Stoic understands that it is not adversity itself that causes suffering, but our reaction to it. They do not flee or complain. They stand firm, like a pine tree in the storm, each gust only driving their roots deeper. Every hardship becomes a lesson in endurance. Every wound, a chance to learn compassion. When others choose resentment, they choose forgiveness. When others despair, they choose hope. And when the world collapses, they rebuild from within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you can't change your circumstances, change yourself." He spoke not from comfort, but from the battlefield and from sickness. Even as his body weakened, his mind remained strong, for he knew that while flesh decays, the mind, when disciplined, shines brighter through pain. That is why his meditations are more than writings. They are a lantern through the ages. They remind us that in our darkest hours, we do not need miracles. We need reason and courage. When reason is clear, the darkness loses its power. Seneca said, "No one becomes wise by living only in comfort." His words echo as a warning to a modern world that runs from hardship as if pain were the enemy. But the Stoic knows that adversity is the training ground of the soul. Only through struggle do we discover who we truly are. When all that we depend on falls away, we are forced to find our footing within ourselves. And there, we uncover an indestructible strength, the strength of steadfastness. The Stoic does not wish for an easier life. They wish to become stronger so they can face it. Epictetus taught, "No one can disturb your peace unless you grant them permission." His words are a mirror for us to gaze into whenever anger or sorrow arises. They remind us that peace is not something others can give or take. It is a choice we make. When we refuse to let emotions dictate our actions, we begin to taste true freedom. The Stoic is not unfeeling. They love deeply, but without attachment. They live passionately, but without blindness. For they understand that freedom and steadfastness are two sides of the same truth. The free are steadfast, and the steadfast are free. To the Stoic, life is not a stage for glory, but a forge for the soul. Every trial, every failure, every joy is a test of how deeply one has practiced reason. The Stoic does not seek admiration. They seek to do what is right. They do not live to be remembered, but to know, when their time comes, that they lived fully. Their steadfastness is quiet, yet enduring, like a river shaping stone, or a small light guiding others through the night. And perhaps that is the most beautiful legacy a person can leave behind, a mind unshaken and a soul at peace in a world that never stops changing. Throughout the long flow of history, those who have remained steady in mind were rarely the powerful or the wealthy, but those who dared to stand still when everyone else panicked. They did not follow the crowd, nor did they fear solitude, because they understood that truth does not need a majority to exist. The Stoic always chooses the harder path, the path that runs against instinct, against fear, against desire. They believe that a person only matures when they can walk through pain without resentment. In a noisy world where everyone fights to be heard, the Stoic learns the art of silence. They do not prove themselves with words, for their calmness itself is the most powerful proof of wisdom and inner strength. Marcus Aurelius once watched endless debates in the Roman court and said, "I have no need to argue to defend the truth. The truth stands by itself." His words reflect the philosophy of a mind that has transcended the need to be right. The Stoic does not seek victory through speech, but truth through action. They know that argument is often the assertion of ego, while silence is the preservation of peace. In a society where people react faster than they think, the Stoic chooses reflection over reaction. That is what makes them different. They live slowly in an age of haste, live deeply in a shallow world, and live consciously among the sleepwalking crowd. Seneca once wrote, "If you do not rule your mind, someone else will." In the modern world, that statement rings truer than ever. The noise of social media, the press, and public opinion constantly invades the human mind. Everyone wants to speak, few want to listen. Everyone wants to react, few want to think. The Stoic reminds us that steadfastness cannot exist in a mind ruled by others. To remain ourselves, we must know when to speak, when to be silent, and when to return inward. For only in the stillness of the mind can we hear our truest voice. Epictetus taught, "When someone offends you, remember, they reveal their character. You reveal yours by how you respond." This saying is a gem of Stoic wisdom. It teaches that character is not proven by words, but by attitude. When others are angry, be calm. When they deceive, be honest. When they try to humiliate you, hold your dignity. The steadfast know that no one can diminish you unless you diminish yourself. True worth lies not in praise, but in the ability to uphold virtue, even when unseen. Steadfastness of mind is not a wall against emotion. It is a river that knows how to flow. The Stoic does not force themselves to be rigid. They learn to be flexible without losing essence. When the wind changes, they do not break. They bend, yet stay rooted. When life shifts, they do not cling. They adapt, but remain guided by reason. That is why Stoicism has endured for thousands of years. It is more than a philosophy. It is a compass for anyone seeking to live amid chaos without losing themselves. A calm soul, a resilient heart, and a mind unshaken by the storms of the world. When a person learns to master their mind, they begin to realize a profound truth. Nothing in this world can truly hurt them unless they allow it to. Stoic philosophy does not promise to make life easier. It gives us the strength to bear its weight. The Stoic does not fear failure because they do not define themselves by results. They understand that a person's worth lies not in what they achieve, but in how they face loss. Where others see tragedy, they see a lesson. Where others see failure, they see training. That is why Stoics remain calm amid life's greatest storms, because they understand that every challenge is simply a test to measure how strong the mind has become. Seneca once wrote to his friend Lucilius, "We do not choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond." That sentence, though written 2 millennia ago, remains the cornerstone of modern thought in psychology and philosophy. People today are not broken because the world is cruel, but because they forget they have the power to choose how they see it. The moment someone realizes that their emotions are their own responsibility, they begin to taste true freedom. Steadfastness is not about ignoring pain. It is about listening to it, understanding it, and walking through it with reason. And once you have walked through it, fear loses its hold. For fear lives only in the minds of those who have never faced it. Epictetus was living proof of this truth. Once, after his master broke his leg with a stick, he calmly said, "If you continue, my leg will break." When it did, he simply added, "I told you so." This story is not about glorifying endurance. It is about reminding us that we can choose how to respond to suffering. He refused to let another's cruelty strip away his dignity or peace. In that moment, he demonstrated that freedom is not something given. It is something created within. It is a kind of freedom no power can take away. The Stoic knows that once they master themselves, nothing and no one can control them again. Marcus Aurelius, even as an emperor, was no stranger to loss and betrayal. Yet instead of bitterness, he wrote in Meditations, "If someone does wrong, it is because they do not know what is right. Do not hate them. Teach them by example." These words reflect a mind of great strength, one that recognizes human weakness without despising it. The Stoic understands that hatred only breeds more hatred, while compassion frees the soul. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the highest form of mastery, for to forgive is to conquer oneself. The Stoic believes that each person is a universe unto themselves, and that the order of the world begins with the order of the soul. When a person maintains inner calm, they radiate peace outward. They do not need speeches to persuade others. Their way of living is proof enough that serenity is possible, even amid chaos. In today's world, where everything shifts by the second, Stoicism serves as a compass for rediscovering lost stillness. It does not ask us to withdraw from life, but to live within it without being consumed by it. To be like a candle in the wind, burning not in defiance of the wind, but in harmony with it, knowing the wind is part of existence itself. Stoic philosophy does not only teach people how to face adversity, it also teaches them how to live wisely in times of prosperity. For success, too, is a test, often harsher than failure. When people attain everything they desire, they easily forget that true peace does not lie in possessions, but in mastery over them. The Stoic does not deny joy, but they remain wary of anything that enslaves the mind. They understand that if our happiness depends on something outside ourselves, then that very thing becomes our chain. Thus, they enjoy life with gratitude, but are never ruled by it. They can live in a palace without seeing themselves as kings, or live in poverty and still feel complete. Seneca emphasized, "Wealth is not having great possessions, but having few wants." It sounds simple, yet it holds the essence of profound wisdom. In today's world, where people endlessly chase more, Stoicism urges us to stop and ask, what do I truly need to live in peace? Many own the world, yet lose themselves, because they never learned where to stop. The Stoic takes the opposite approach. They reduce desire to increase freedom. When we stop obsessing over what we lack, we begin to appreciate what we have. In that simplicity lies a power that money cannot buy: serenity. Each morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Today, I will meet the selfish, the ungrateful, the deceitful. But they cannot harm me, for I know their nature." This was not cynicism. but the preparation of a mind that understood the human condition. He did not expect perfection from the world. He trained himself to love it despite its flaws. The Stoic does not seek to change others. They change their own response. And in doing so, they become examples, not through preaching, but through quiet integrity. That attitude allowed them to remain virtuous, even in an age driven by ambition and chaos. Epictetus taught, "If you want to live happily, stop trying to control what is beyond your power." His advice is like a compass amid turbulent seas. Modern people often fear what has not happened and mourn what has already passed, forgetting that the present moment is all they truly own. The Stoic does not waste energy arguing with fate. They use it to act, to accept, and to grow. When we release the need to control everything, we begin to experience real freedom, the kind that lets us stay calm even when the world is in turmoil, to smile even when life refuses to bend to our will. The strength of the Stoic lies not in how many battles they win, but in how they never lose to themselves. They do not seek to prove their power to the world. They seek to know they no longer need to fight for validation. Steadfastness of mind is not about building walls against life. It is about opening the door to it with understanding. When a person becomes strong enough not to need victory over others, they finally achieve victory over themselves. And that is the greatest triumph of all. A silent victory that echoes through time, written not in fame or power, but in the dignity and wisdom of the soul. Some say Stoic philosophy teaches people to become cold. But in truth, Stoics are those who understand compassion most deeply. For only when we learn to master our emotions can we truly love without letting love turn into fear. The Stoic does not love through possession. They love through understanding. They know that everything can be lost, family, friends, even oneself, so they cherish every moment that exists. To them, love is not a chain, but a shared freedom. They love with reason, yet their reason is not dry, for it is born from empathy. They know that true gentleness comes only from souls that have walked through storms and still choose not to grow bitter. Seneca once wrote, "He who can pity another without breaking his own heart is truly strong." This is not a call to be unfeeling. It is a reminder to protect compassion from being blinded by emotion. When empathy is ruled by fear or anger, it easily becomes suffering. The Stoic learns to help the world without being drowned by its pain. They do not stand apart. They stand firm within it. They reach out to save others without letting the current sweep them away. It is kindness, guided by reason, compassion, held in balance. A strength that allows one not only to live for themselves, but to become a source of light for others. Marcus Aurelius said, "When someone does wrong, think that if you had been born into their circumstances, you might have acted the same." Those words reveal a deep compassion that only a truly steady mind can hold. The Stoic does not see others through judgment, but through understanding. They do not see faults as eternal sins, but as lessons yet to be learned. In that perspective, they no longer see enemies, only souls still finding their way through the human journey. Thus, Stoicism does not divide the world into good and evil, victory and defeat, but sees one simple truth. Everyone is trying, each at a different stage of awareness. Epictetus also reminded his students, "If you wish to understand others, remember that they suffer as you do." He was not speaking only of physical pain, but of the inner ache that drives people to act unwisely without realizing it. Stoicism is not a wall that blocks emotion. It is a bridge that connects reason and compassion. The Stoic does not avoid the pain of others. They face it with calm understanding. They do not rush to carry it away, but to remind others of their own strength to rise. In such love, there is both wisdom and mercy, a rare blend in a world quick to feel but slow to understand. The Stoic understands that steadfastness is not merely self-control, but the ability to stay clear-minded even amid others' suffering. They know how to listen without losing their boundaries, how to empathize without sinking into despair. They are like a lighthouse in a storm, not sailing with the ships, but guiding them with light. And perhaps that is what humanity needs most. Souls strong enough to feel, yet not be consumed by feeling, compassionate enough to love, yet wise enough not to turn love into burden. The Stoic teaches that reason and compassion are not opposites, but when united, they form the very essence of what it means to be truly human. The Stoics believed that life is a stage, and each of us has been given a different role to play. Some are cast as nobles, others as farmers, and some merely as nameless passers-by. But what matters is not the role we receive, it is how we perform it. If fate gives us sorrow, we play it with dignity. If it gives us joy, we live it with gratitude. For the script is not in our control, but the performance always is. That is why Stoics live fully, in every circumstance. They do not curse the playwright, nor compare their parts. They simply strive to make their role as beautiful as possible. And when the curtain falls, they bow and leave the stage with a calm smile, knowing they lived their role well. Epictetus once said, "Do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish to perform well whatever happens." Within that sentence lies a wisdom many modern minds have forgotten. We spend so much energy trying to change circumstances, forgetting that true strength lies in how we respond to them. When a person learns to accept without surrendering, they become unshakable. They do not resign themselves to fate, but neither do they let fate define their worth. They understand that freedom is not doing whatever one wishes, but remaining at peace even when things do not go one's way, and that makes them the steadiest souls in the stormy sea of life. Marcus Aurelius, though an emperor, reminded himself each night, "Today, I have done my best. The rest belongs to nature." He did not allow pride to swell when he succeeded, nor despair to consume him when he failed. In a world where power can corrupt the soul, he kept his mind as clear as a mirror reflecting truth. The Stoic does not see the result as the reward. They see virtue in action as the true glory. When we act rightly, we no longer need the world's approval. For when the heart is still, there is no victory greater than that. Seneca also warned, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." He urged people not to lose focus, for a scattered mind can never be at peace. In our age of endless noise and information, his words ring truer than ever. The Stoic does not seek to know everything. They choose what is worth knowing. They do not react to every sound. They respond only to what matters. That power of discernment is what gives them steadiness. Like a master archer, they do not shoot wildly into the void, but aim only at the true target, tranquility of mind. Stoic philosophy teaches that every day is an opportunity to train, not to change the world, but to understand oneself more deeply. When we learn to control our reactions, we learn to control our lives. When we stop trying to control what lies beyond our reach, we begin to experience true freedom. Life may strike us down, but if our mind does not fall, we remain undefeated. And perhaps that is the eternal lesson of Stoicism, the steadfastness of the mind, to triumph not through power, but through calmness, not through domination, but through wisdom. In the stillness of the night, when the noise of the world fades away, a person finally comes face to face with themselves. It is then that the deepest questions rise to the surface. What am I living for? Whom am I chasing? And what have I lost along the way? The Stoics considered these moments of self-dialogue sacred, for only in silence can one truly hear the voice of conscience. Seneca once wrote, "When night comes, I ask myself, what have I done better today than yesterday?" That question, simple as it seems, is a torch that can illuminate an entire life. It reminds us that true progress lies not in defeating others, but in overcoming the weaker version of ourselves from the day before. Marcus Aurelius also had the habit of writing down his thoughts each night. He did not write for others to read, but to train his soul. In his meditations, we see a great man confronting himself with absolute honesty. He wrote about his mistakes, his anger, his fear of being misunderstood, and then gently reminded himself to forgive, to be patient, to keep going. There we find both an emperor and a humble student walking the path of self-mastery. The Stoic understands that steadfastness does not come from speeches or doctrines, but from countless quiet moments of reflection and correction. A strong soul always begins with honesty toward itself. Epictetus taught, "No one can teach you unless you wish to learn." He meant not only intellectual learning, but moral growth. The Stoic never blames fate or others, for they know that true change begins within. They do not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" but rather, "What can I become because of this?" That question ensures they never stop growing. Regardless of age or position, they remain lifelong students of life. They are grateful for mistakes because mistakes teach humility. They are grateful for failures because failures teach patience. To them, every wound is an inscription etched upon the soul, a reminder of a lesson no school could ever teach. Seneca once said, "An uncontrolled mind is a city without walls." This perfectly captures the essence of Stoic discipline. If we do not fortify our minds, we will be conquered by emotion and temptation. Today, humanity can build towers that touch the clouds, yet many have left their inner worlds in ruins. We invest in appearances and possessions, but forget that the strongest foundation is the mind itself. The Stoic builds in the opposite direction, from within. Each thought is a brick, each right action, a wall that guards the soul. When life's storms arrive, they do not collapse, for their fortress has been built with discipline and reason. Stoic philosophy is an invitation to return to oneself, not to withdraw from the world, but to understand it more clearly. When we find stillness within, we see the world with greater clarity. When we are no longer ruled by desire, we begin to feel the true beauty of life. The Stoic does not live to escape. They live to understand. They slow down to see deeper. They speak less to feel more. And in their simplicity, we find a rare kind of strength, the strength of one who needs no proof, yet makes the world listen through the quiet power of their calm. When we look back at the Stoic philosophers of the past, we realize they did not live in peaceful times. Epictetus was a slave. Seneca lived in the perilous court of Nero. Marcus Aurelius wielded a sword amid the chaos of war. Yet it was precisely within those harsh circumstances that their philosophy was forged into steel. They did not write theories from the comfort of a warm study. They wrote with sweat, tears, and blood. That is why every word they left carries the pulse of experience. The Stoics did not speak of steadfastness as an abstract idea. They lived it, every hour, every breath. Their true legacy is not written on paper, but in the way humanity keeps rising after every fall. Seneca once wrote, He who has not learned to endure will never learn to live. This line is one of the jewels of human philosophy. It reminds us that all greatness is built upon the foundation of endurance. No strength is born from comfort, no wisdom from indulgence. Only those who have walked through darkness truly understand the value of light. The Stoic does not seek to avoid suffering, for they know suffering is the essential soil of growth. Just as a seed must break open to sprout, the human soul blossoms only after learning to endure without losing compassion. Marcus Aurelius, near the end of Meditations, wrote, "When you are no longer afraid of death, you begin to live." Those words came from a man who had stared directly into the fragility of existence and realized that fear thrives only when we cling to what was never ours. The Stoic does not fear loss because they never claimed ownership. They see everything, joy and sorrow alike, as gifts of the universe, and their task is to receive them with gratitude. Through such a view, death ceases to be an enemy and becomes the final door of nature. They do not run from it, but prepare their soul to leave peacefully, like a guest departing a banquet, satisfied and thankful to the host. Epictetus taught his students, when a person dies, they are not lost. They return to where they belong. It sounds like comfort, but it is in fact a profound lesson in letting go. The Stoic does not cling to life, for they know all things are temporary. That is why they live each moment completely, knowing nothing lasts forever. They do not postpone love, delay forgiveness, or wait for a better day to live well, because they know that day is today. When one lives as if each day were the last, fear dissolves, and where fear ends, courage begins. Stoicism teaches people to look directly at truth, not to despair, but to be liberated. Only when we dare to face the darkness do we find genuine light. The Stoics promise no paradise, offer no illusion of happiness. They show instead the path to freedom, freedom of the mind, freedom of the soul. It is a freedom no one can give and no one can take away. The Stoic understands that life is brief, but if lived with reason and inner peace, it becomes infinite. And there, in the stillness of a mind that has transcended fear, we find eternal steadfastness, the kind no power on earth can ever move. When people finally understand that everything can be lost, they begin to truly appreciate what they have. That is the lesson the Stoics never stop teaching. Nothing belongs to us forever, so we must be grateful while it is still ours. They taught that gratitude is not reserved only for what is pleasant, but also for what is difficult. For it is adversity that strengthens us, and loss that reveals the depth of love. Seneca once said, "He who is grateful for life, even in adversity, can never be miserable." Those words are not comfort, they are medicine. When we learn to give thanks even for our suffering, we cease to be its victim. We transform pain into strength, trials into lessons. And in that transformation, life is no longer a sequence of defeats, but a journey of growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Do not wait for something great to be thankful for the mere act of waking up each morning is miracle enough." A Roman emperor, surrounded by war and politics, could still find the sacred in a breath. That is the height of awareness. The Stoic does not search for joy in grand victories, but in simple moments. The sunrise, a warm meal, the smile of a stranger. They understand that happiness is not a destination, but a state of mind grounded in appreciation. When we are thankful simply to be alive, everything else becomes a gift. And within that gratitude, one discovers a peace so deep that no force on earth can disturb it. Epictetus taught, If you are only grateful when everything is perfect, you will wait forever. His words strike at the heart of modern dissatisfaction. We often overlook what we have while suffering over what we lack. The Stoic approaches life as a guest at a banquet. They enjoy the feast, but they do not demand it. When a delicious dish is served, they are glad. When it is finished, they smile and let it go. That attitude is their strength. Their happiness does not depend on circumstances, for it comes from within. And when joy lives inside the mind, no external storm can take it away. Seneca also wrote, "Happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have." That is the minimalist art of Stoic living, to live not for accumulation, but for awareness. They do not fear loss, because they do not cling. They do not envy because they know sufficiency. In a world driven by greed and comparison, Stoicism flows like a clear spring through a desert of desire. It reminds us of a simple truth. Life owes us nothing, and everything we have, our health, our time, our love, is a gift. When we live with that mindset, every burden begins to lift, leaving only a quiet, unconditional peace. The Stoics believed that gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to resilience. When we are grateful for life, we no longer resent it. When we are grateful for others, we no longer harbor hatred. And when we are grateful for ourselves, we no longer live in fear. For within gratitude lies acceptance. Within acceptance lies peace. And within peace lies strength. It is gratitude that allows the Stoic to stand firm, even as the world around them falls apart. They may lose everything, yet they never lose their inner freedom. And perhaps that is why Stoic philosophy, after thousands of years, still endures, because it is more than a philosophy. It is a quiet, profound way of loving life itself. The inner strength of a Stoic is not forged overnight. It is built through countless moments of falling and rising again, through every quiet encounter with one's own self. They understand that training the mind is like training the body. To grow stronger, one must first accept pain. Seneca once wrote, "He who has never suffered will never be steadfast." In the modern world, people often seek to avoid all discomfort, yet the Stoic walks straight into it, not because they enjoy pain, but because they know that no true growth comes without struggle. In the very moment when we feel weakest, the seed of strength is planted, and only when we dare to face fear do we begin to understand what courage truly means. Epictetus compared human beings to soldiers being trained on the battlefield of life. He said, "God does not test the weak, for they could not bear it. He sends trials to those capable of overcoming them." That statement has echoed through generations because it transforms how we see adversity. The Stoic does not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" but rather, "What can I learn from this?" To them, every hardship is an opportunity to see deeper into the self, and every wound is a lesson in endurance. Once we stop viewing adversity as an enemy, we begin to treat it as a teacher. And from that point on, nothing can defeat a mind that learns from pain. Marcus Aurelius once described the human mind as a flame. A small flame is blown out by the wind, but a great flame consumes the wind and turns it into its own strength. The Stoic lives by that image. They do not let adversity extinguish them, but use it to burn brighter. Betrayal teaches them honesty. Criticism teaches humility. Loss teaches detachment. Every hardship becomes fuel for growth, and so they no longer fear anything. In a world where everyone longs to be loved, the Stoic understands that the greatest form of love is love for truth, even when it hurts, even when it is raw. For truth alone sets the soul free. Seneca advised his students, "Do not pray for an easy life. pray for a resilient soul. Those words still ring like a bell through the ages. The Stoic does not dream of a perfect life. They only wish to be strong enough to face whatever comes. They do not demand that the world be gentler. They choose to become steadier. Thus, when life shakes, they remain firm, knowing that storms never last forever, and after every storm, the sky clears again. The Stoic lives by that faith, not a blind faith, but one forged from reason, experience, and courage tested in fire. The inner strength of a Stoic does not lie in invincibility, but in recovery. They fall, but do not give up. They lose, but do not despair. They bleed, but keep walking. For them, steadfastness is not never falling. It is rising faster each time. They know that peace does not come from avoiding the storm, but from learning to steer through it. And through that journey, they become calmer, deeper, freer. In the end, the Stoic understands that humanity's greatest victory is not in conquering the world, but in conquering one's own mind. Perhaps what makes Stoic philosophy immortal is that it speaks to the deepest core of the human condition, the longing to be free from fear. In every age, people have feared loss of wealth, status, love, or approval. But the Stoic understands that all fear comes from forgetting the only thing we truly possess, our own mind. When we pour all our energy into clinging to what lies outside us, we abandon the power within us. Stoicism teaches that true freedom is not about having everything. It is about no longer being afraid to lose anything. When we are no longer bound by outcomes, we act with serenity. And within that serenity lies strength. The strength that allows one to walk through storms without losing oneself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Tranquility is the final triumph of reason over chaos." Those words are more than philosophy. They are a way of living. The Stoic does not seek to erase emotion. They simply refuse to let emotion dictate their actions. They know that anger and fear are not evil. They are natural. But danger begins when these emotions become the captains of our ship. When we learn to sit calmly amid the storm of our feelings, we begin to steer our course with clarity. Like a skilled sailor, the Stoic is unafraid of shifting winds, for they have learned to adjust their sails without losing direction. That ability to remain calm within chaos is the clearest proof of inner strength. Epictetus taught, "Remember, no one can harm you without your consent." He did not deny that the world can be cruel, but he believed that the human mind, when disciplined, is untouchable. Once we realize that our emotions are our own choice, all external power loses its hold. The Stoic can be insulted without feeling wounded, betrayed without hating, because they do not let others define their emotions. They live like gatekeepers of the soul, opening the door only to thoughts worthy of entry. And thus, their mind becomes a fortress of peace, a place where no insult or contempt can reach. Seneca compared the human mind to a lake. When the wind blows, the surface ripples. When it is still, it reflects the sky. He wrote, "The wise person is one whose soul no wind can disturb." In our modern world of constant noise, this is truer than ever. Every day we are bombarded by opinions, judgments, praise, fear, and expectation. Without inner steadiness, we are swept away by every wave. But when we learn to be still, we begin to see things as they are. Stoic calmness is not about standing apart from life. It is about standing within it without being consumed. In that stillness, we realize that the world is not as frightening as we imagined. It merely mirrors the state of our own mind. The Stoic was never meant to withdraw from life. but to move through it with clarity. They work, love, fail, and fight, just like everyone else. But they do so with the awareness that each moment is a lesson for the soul. In success, they learn humility. In failure, patience. In suffering, compassion. To them, life has no enemies, only teachers disguised as hardship. And with that vision, they walk through all trials with clear eyes and a peaceful heart. For the Stoic knows that true strength is not the absence of fear. It is the courage to move forward even while fear remains. When a person walks far enough on the path of reason and resilience, they eventually reach a deeper realm, where Stoic philosophy ceases to be merely a lesson in strength and becomes a way toward enlightenment. For the Stoic comes to realize that peace is not a destination, but the natural state of a mind that has released all illusions. When we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, when we stop seeking happiness in external things, when we stop resisting the flow of life, we begin to taste true stillness. That stillness is not the silence of escape, but the quiet of understanding. The Stoic does not live to avoid suffering. They live to understand it. And in that understanding, suffering loses its power. Seneca once said, "We suffer not from reality, but from our imagination." Those words are the key that unlocks the door to awakening. Most of our pain does not come from what happens, but from the expectations and fears we attach to it. We worry about the future, we regret the past, and we rarely live fully in the present. The Stoic breaks this chain of illusion with one simple, profound act: acceptance. Through acceptance, the mind returns to the present moment, and in that presence, anxiety dissolves. No more if only, no more what if, only now, the space where life truly unfolds. Here, peace no longer needs to be found, because it was never gone. It was only hidden beneath our resistance. Epictetus compared life to a boat drifting on a river. Some people row against the current and exhaust themselves in resistance. Others let go completely and are swept away. But the Stoic holds the oar steady. They move with the current, yet keep their direction. It is the perfect image of enlightenment, living in harmony with nature without losing the guidance of reason. The Stoic does not seek to change fate. They seek to live rightly within it. They understand that we cannot control the direction of the wind, but we can adjust our sails. And once we learn this, every event becomes part of the journey, not a misfortune, but what was always meant to come. Serenity is born from that realization that nothing is wrong. Everything simply is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you stop arguing with the world, you become one with it." That is not resignation. It is harmony. The Stoic knows that by resisting what is, we only deepen our suffering. But when we open ourselves to it, even pain can become a teacher. Peace does not come from calm circumstances, but from the ability to remain calm in all circumstances. An awakened mind no longer divides the world into good and bad, fortunate or unfortunate. It simply sees what is. And in that pure perception, everything and everyone becomes beautiful, because we no longer see them through the lens of desire or fear. At its highest point, Stoicism transforms into a philosophy of compassion. For when one is truly at peace, one no longer wishes to harm anyone. They understand that every soul is struggling with its own wounds, and that everyone deserves forgiveness. The Stoics' enlightenment is not a retreat from humanity, but a return to it, with unconditional love. They do not preach virtue, they live it, by refusing to let the darkness in others awaken the darkness within themselves. When the mind is still, right action flows naturally. And when one lives rightly, the world around them begins to calm as well. That is how Stoicism spreads, not through power, but through the quiet presence of a soul that has understood and let go. When a person reaches inner enlightenment, they begin to see the world through different eyes, eyes of understanding rather than judgment. The Stoic no longer perceives themselves as separate from life, but as an inseparable part of a vast whole. They recognize that everything, no matter how small, contributes to the balance of the universe. Just as a drop of water cannot exist apart from the ocean, a person cannot find meaning apart from the community of humankind. From this awareness, they live with the deep realization that every action sends ripples outward, whether a word, a glance, or a thought. When one person holds stillness within, they bring calm to the world around them. Thus, Stoicism is not merely a philosophy of personal conduct, but a path toward harmony for all humanity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We are born to work together, like the right hand and the left." Simple words, yet they hold a profound truth. The Stoic does not see others as opponents, but as mirrors reflecting parts of themselves. When they encounter anger, they learn patience. When they see greed, they learn moderation. When they witness suffering, they learn compassion. In this way, every encounter becomes a lesson, and every person a teacher. They do not need to preach virtue. Their calmness and kindness are lessons in themselves. Within such harmony, we discover that instead of striving to change the world, we can begin by changing how we show up in it. For when we change, the world changes too. Epictetus taught, "Remember, you are a part of the greater whole." To him, life was not a string of random events, but a grand symphony in which each of us is a note. There are high notes and low, fast rhythms, and slow, yet all blend together to create the melody of existence. The Stoic does not try to drown out others. They seek to play in tune. They accept that sometimes their role is to stand in the shadows so others may shine, and they find joy in that. Happiness to them is not found in praise, but in knowing they have played their part faithfully in the music of life. When we understand this, envy and resentment vanish, leaving only gratitude for having a place in the world's great song. Seneca once wrote, "No one can be happy who lives only for themselves." Though Stoics are inwardly focused, they carry within them a profound sense of altruism. They do not seek joy in isolation, but in meaningful connection. Helping others, to them, is a way of strengthening their own soul. When we share our light, we do not lose it, we multiply it, brightening the world. And when the world becomes brighter, our own hearts grow lighter. That is why the Stoic never turns away from humanity's suffering, even as they refuse to be consumed by it. They are like small lamps in the night, unable to illuminate the whole sky, but enough to guide someone out of darkness. Harmony between humanity and the world, in Stoic thought, is not dissolution, but resonance. Each person retains their essence, yet all move toward what is good, just, and beautiful. When reason and compassion unite, the world becomes more livable. The Stoic does not live to prove superiority, but to remind others that within every soul glows a spark of light. And when each person learns to keep their own flame alive, the darkness of humankind begins to fade. In that moment, we understand that steadfastness does not merely save the self. It is the seed of peace, planted in the quiet mind of every human being who chooses to live with wisdom and love. When a person learns to live in harmony with the world, they begin to understand that freedom and responsibility walk hand in hand. Stoic philosophy does not merely call for inner steadiness, it demands right action within the community. Inner strength does not mean retreating from life. It means stepping into it with an awakened heart. The Stoic believes that each person is part of a greater whole, and when one part suffers, the entire whole feels pain. True peace, therefore, is not merely a personal state, but a shared empathy for the suffering of humankind. When we realize that we cannot be at peace in a world consumed by chaos, compassion awakens within us, and from that compassion arises responsibility. The responsibility to live meaningfully, to speak truthfully, and to act with integrity, even when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We are born to serve, just as horses are born to run, and bees to make honey." He did not see duty as a burden, but as the natural rhythm of existence. A human being is not born merely to enjoy life, but to contribute to it, even through small deeds. For the Stoic, doing what is right needs no reward, for the greatest reward is living in alignment with one's virtuous nature. They do not help others for praise, but because they understand that each good act is a drop of water, soothing the thirst of the world. They need no audience, for they know that true justice is not found in public recognition, but in the quiet of night, when the mind rests clear and the heart feels no regret. Epictetus once taught, "Do not ask what the world has done for you. Ask what you have done for the world." It is a wake-up call for those who only demand but never give, forgetting that they too shape the disorder they condemn. The Stoic does not stand on the sidelines complaining. They act, no matter how small or unseen the act may be. They understand that the order of the world is not upheld by the powerful, but by ordinary people who choose to live rightly. Each good deed, even as small as a raindrop, joins countless others to create a storm of compassion. The Stoic does not seek perfection, only the daily effort to lessen suffering, through honest words, kind actions, and a spirit of understanding. Seneca wrote, "When you help another, do it as if you are helping yourself." This is not metaphor, but truth born of Stoic experience. They know that all human beings are bound by the invisible thread of shared humanity. When you lift another, you lift a part of yourself. When you forgive, you heal your own soul. When you share, you lighten your own burden. The Stoic does not divide the world into us and them, for in the eye of reason, there is only we. And when people live with this awareness, war, hatred, and division, the great shadows of humankind begin to fade under the light of compassion. The awakening of humanity in the Stoic spirit does not come from loud revolutions, but from quiet transformation within each mind. When one person learns to live rightly, a piece of the world is healed. When a community learns to live with reason and empathy, conflict loses its ground. The Stoic understands that real change is not imposed. It is spread. It spreads through example, through calmness, through the ability to live one's values silently but steadfastly. They do not seek to awaken others with speeches, but with their very presence, a presence that brings peace, like standing before a mountain, solid, silent, yet full of strength. And that is the final mission of Stoic philosophy, not merely to train individuals, but to awaken humanity, so that each person lives as a part of the greater order, carrying both compassion and responsibility, like stars quietly lighting the shared sky. When human beings learn to live with steadiness, responsibility, and love, they begin to uncover a truth deeper than all others. the sacred essence they have long forgotten. The Stoics believed that within every person burns a spark of the universe, a small flame of reason that connects us to the vast order of nature. They called it logos, the divine fire of wisdom and virtue. When one lives in harmony with reason and moral truth, they are living in tune with that logos. And when they act for the good of humanity, they are no longer merely human. They become messengers of the cosmos, continuing the work of creation through intelligence and compassion. In that moment, we cease to be isolated beings and become part of the infinite. Steadfastness and kindness are no longer virtues. They become the way we merge with the sacred nature of life itself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Remember that within you dwells a portion of divinity. Do not stain it with fear or desire." To him, one did not need temples or rituals to meet God, for the divine already lived within, the quiet voice behind every good thought, every just deed, every breath of gratitude. When a person keeps their soul clear, they become a mirror of the universe's order. The Stoic believed that peace is not a reward after death, but a state of the soul when it lives in accordance with nature's law. And that law is simple: live rightly, live kindly, live with forgiveness. When we do so, death no longer frightens us, for the soul that lives in harmony with truth has already entered immortality. Epictetus told his students, "You are a fragment of God. You carry within you the power to create, to choose, and to love." His words are a wake-up call to a humanity lost amid materialism and ambition. The Stoic does not see people as victims of fate, but as co-creators of life itself. They understand that every thought, every word, every action is a seed planted into the soul of the universe. When we sow patience, the world grows less hurried. When we sow compassion, the world grows less cruel. When we sow honesty, the world grows less false. The awakening of humankind will not come from great inventions, but from the simple remembrance in each person's heart: I do not live for myself alone. Seneca wrote, "We become truly noble only when we live for something greater than ourselves." That is the essence of Stoic wisdom. They did not place the self at the center, but humanity at the sacred core. They believed that steadiness is not about standing apart from others, but about becoming their support. Responsibility is not a burden, but a gift, the gift of making a difference. And compassion is not weakness, but the highest form of strength, the strength to lift instead of oppress, to forgive instead of retaliate, to love instead of ignore. When one reaches this level of understanding, they no longer ask, "What will I gain?" but rather, "What can I give?" And in that question, they find the true meaning of existence. At its deepest level, Stoic philosophy is a call to return to the sacred essence buried beneath the dust of time. When we let go of ego, when we live with reason, compassion, and steadiness, we purify the soul until it shines again with its original light. We need not seek God outside ourselves, for God is the best part within us, the part that loves, forgives, and strives for what is right. And when humanity awakens together, the world will no longer be divided, at war, or afraid. It will return to the harmony the universe has always intended, a place where each person is a ray of light, together illuminating the sky of wisdom and compassion. That is the ultimate purpose of Stoicism: steadfastness to preserve reason, kindness to nourish the soul, and enlightenment to remind humankind that we were never separate from eternity. And then, after all the layers of trial, after the many tempests of the soul, A person finally stands still within the quiet space of awareness, where Stoic philosophy is no longer a doctrine, but the very breath of life. From suffering, we learn patience. From loss, gratitude. From fear, courage. And from solitude, the art of looking deeply within ourselves. This journey does not take us to a distant destination. It leads us back home, to the original dwelling of the mind, where peace has always resided, though we had forgotten the way. The Stoics remind us, no one needs to seek the light, for the light was never gone. It was only obscured by the storms of illusion. And when we finally learn to stand still, that inner light rises once more from within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Live as if you had already died, and were granted the gift of life again. Then you will cherish every breath, every moment." That is the essence of Stoic wisdom, to live not in fear of death, but in gratitude for life. When a person understands that every moment is fleeting, they no longer waste it on anger, resentment, or rivalry. They begin to live honestly, love sincerely, and forgive freely, not for others, but because their soul deserves peace. The Stoic does not dream of a perfect world. They build it through small, simple acts, a kind word, a just deed, a pure thought. They understand that humanity does not need more promises, but more steadfast hearts, hearts that keep the flame alive, even when surrounded by darkness. Epictetus said, "Nothing is ever truly lost. Everything simply returns to where it belongs." To him, death was not an ending, but a return, the soul's rejoining of the eternal cycle of the cosmos. Once a person grasps this, fear dissolves. They live lighter, gentler, freer. The Stoic sees life as a symphony, filled with both sorrow and joy, highs and lows, each note essential to harmony. They do not try to prolong the song. They simply play every note fully. And when their melody ends, they set down their instrument with a smile, knowing they have played with all their heart. In that moment, their soul merges with the rhythm of the universe, weightless as wind, radiant as a star, still as water. Seneca wrote, "The one who knows how to live is the one who does not fear death. And the one who does not fear death is the one who has truly lived." Death is terrifying only to those who have never dared to look life in the eye. The Stoic does not strive to extend life. They strive to deepen it. To them, a single day lived in awareness is worth more than a century lived in ignorance. They teach that steadfastness is not coldness. It is the ability to remain kind amid chaos. Compassion is not weakness. It is the highest expression of strength, a strength that seeks not to dominate, but to illuminate. And above all, they teach that peace is not found elsewhere. It exists here, in the simple act of sitting down, breathing, and smiling at life, imperfect yet infinitely worthy of love. Stoic philosophy ends where it began, in the human heart. From suffering to serenity, from man to universe, from endurance to enlightenment, it is all one single journey, the journey home to the self. When the mind grows still, we hear the voice of the cosmos whisper in every breath. When compassion awakens, we see every living being as a companion on the same path. And when steadiness becomes second nature, we are no longer seekers of peace. We are peace itself. The Stoics left humanity not a promise of happiness, but a path toward it. A simple yet profound way. Master your mind, live with compassion, and let the silence within become the echo of the universe. For in the end, the most sacred achievement of all is not power, but the serenity to stand calm and unbroken amid the infinite flow of life.